death last night. Now you're lying in my bed. Must have been a dream last night, but I can hear what you're saying. You were shot to death last night. Where's my cup of coffee? I was dreaming something bad last night. Can't you hear what I'm saying? One gunshot, and I forgot to look at you, to look at you, to look at you, to look at you. Two gunshots, and my thoughts when not with you, when not with you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Valorant Game Changers APAC Elite. I got so excited, I nearly knocked something down. But anyways, I'm Tash Buddy alongside Sleepy Studio.
Hello.
And we are your host/panel for the day because now it is game 2 and it is getting hot. X10S versus Bren Victress.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for this one. As I was saying in the pregame for the previous match, these are the two teams that I think are the strongest candidates to topple off the Queen's Alter Ego Celeste. And they've been head-to-head for quite some time, and they've been trading results, you know. Sometimes Bren Victress would win, sometimes X10S would win. And there are some stories for us to tell about these two teams today, Tash. For Bren Victress, they've been kind of struggling heading into this elite, losing to a few teams like Zolmaraki that we just saw play today. And so Bren Victress, they're looking to prove that they're still one of the top teams here in elite, playing against X10 Sapphire. And of course, X10, they're kind of sick today, so hopefully that's not going to affect them too much.
Hopefully not, because now let's have a video introduction for both teams. Take it away. And there we have it, guys. These are our two teams competing right now. So to complete what Sleepy was saying before the video, X10S is not feeling really good, at least from what I saw from the tweets. Apparently, according to Baby TZ, the whole team is not feeling really great right now, especially Ginny.
Oh no, especially the IGL and the anchor in the team. That's been pretty impactful to bring X10 back to the glory that they once had, especially back then in Last Chance. Because in Last Chance, Stash, they did not drop a single map. Holy.
No.
That kind of performance is insane, right?
Yeah, they were hungry. They knew it was the last chance. They played as though there was no more tomorrow, because technically there wasn't.
There wasn't.
They really wanted to bring it in.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about them, for X10S, it feels like they were just trying to find their footing throughout the entire year. They're a team that makes it so close, but doesn't really quite clinch it. But for now, head-to-head, we're going to look at Shirazi and Polly.
Yeah, Shirazi with an average combat score of 205 with average kill of 14.5 5. I mean, she's been pretty darn good. It was a feat watching her play. And Polly, she was also one of the stronger players, I feel like, in X10 with her very reliable clutches and ways she can take map control on her own. It was really interesting to see. And of course, the stats also stay the same. AC as of 202 and average kills of 14. They're kind of even, these two players. But in terms of headshot, Polly have been hitting more hits, so that's an interesting stat. Hopefully we can see more of that later in the game.
But yeah, heads popping.
Yes, heads popping, very fun to watch. But these two players and these two teams, again, I'm very excited to see them play because they're two of my favorites to be able to win against the Queens. And of course, them playing against each other, that's going to be a bit of a preview of what it's going to look like towards the later part of the bracket. So this is fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were to meet again after this, with one going up and one going down. Yep, seeing how it goes. Now, if you look at how it goes for X10, I think it was a little bit more when you talk about them. It's like great players individually. Yes. I mean, we know that Ginny is a legend all the way from the CSGO days, coming onto here where she used to lead the male team back in Myth, be it CSGO, be it Valorant. So of course she is the most fit to be the IGL. But when you look at the team in all three stages, it felt as though there was a little bit of a disconnect between them. And I'm really hoping that after the win that they got during overtime, or at least during last chance, is exactly what they needed. But for now, if you look at the maps here, Bind, Pearl, and Haven, and the fact that Pearl was chosen by X10S is giving me vibes and hints of really interesting plays, like what we saw during Paper Rex when they chose it. I'm eager to see what lineups they have for Pearl. I'm not too sure if the new changes are in this patch yet, but if it isn't, wow.
Wow, I mean, Pearl, this is the first time we're going to see Pearl in the Game Changer circuit, if I'm not mistaken, since Last Chance. So obviously there's no data that we're going to work with, but obviously we've seen Pearl on some games in the VCT circuit, so we sort of have an idea of what agents are going to be in there, you know, like Sage, maybe even Viper. What I'm hoping to see is, of course, Neon, and maybe even Phoenix, dare I say. I mean, Phoenix is my boy. I want to see him get played on Pearl. It's going to be very, very fun. But of course, no data, so we're just going to have to see what happens. On Bind, though, Bind is a bit more familiar, right? With Bind, we of course have seen these teams play there, but for X10S, it hasn't been the prettiest maps of all, since they only have like, what, 50% win rate, so it's a 50-50. It's literally a gamble. You either win or you lose with a 50-50. Bren, on the other hand, is very, very comfortable on Bind with 75% win rate. So obviously, Bind being their pick, they know what they're going into. They know that they've prepared for this map, and they know that X10 is not really comfortable on it, so they're hoping to take this first map. And on Pearl, of course, again, we don't have data, so the fact that X10S are the ones picking the map, they probably have more prep on it. But the fact that Bren Esports did not ban it is also signaling to us that maybe they have had some practice on it. So I'm going to call it right now, Tash. I think we're going to map 3 for this one because both teams are comfortable on their map picks.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Pearl, one thing to really remember is that it's a map with so many little holes, nooks, and crannies to play in. There's a lot of areas and angles to clear and to take care of. And in a lot of situations, you can be rewarded for playing aggressive, especially early on defense as well. So you go out of your way, get your early picks. Mid control is particularly important as it gives you access to all 2 sites from all different ways and angles. So it's really good for you to take control of mid. Regardless, one thing about Pearl is that there's so many different cheeky angles and ways to play it. You might not be expecting to see someone in a little corner, little cranny. You know that there's this one particular wall that you can wall yourself up onto. You can see onto B site as well. So post plant will be a little bit difficult as long as you, I mean, if you don't know where exactly to look for. Regardless though, Bind is where I'm really concerned for here, because you know that Bind is kind of like different little puzzle pieces, I believe, because each part of the map is a different area to take care of. There's a little bit disconnect as you move on to different areas. And especially as you go on to like rotations, you try and commit, but you don't have hookah. When you don't have control of hookah, you try to go on to B site. The problem now is going into long and getting onto site. You can't watch elbow. So how you want to play it is to take as many jigsaw puzzles as you can at the same time, while making sure that your back is covered, because bind can also be pretty lurk heavy as well. But if we go into map 3, I think it'll be pretty stable across the board.
Yeah, I mean, Haven is probably a very staple map that both teams are very comfortable with. Pearl is going to be interesting. As you said, lots of corners, lots of nooks. Maybe we're going to get to see Reina, because Reina thrives
Another TikTok!
in those situations.
Why not?
Right?
Let's go!
Yeah, why not? We want to see that. But on bind, I agree. You have to be able to take all those checkpoints before you execute, especially on the attack. And on the defense, you're also going to be forced to play with a lot of information. You have to be good with your information gathering to know where your attackers are going to go. Otherwise, you're going to get played so much with the teleporters. So it's going to be a battle of those particular skill sets: information gathering, executes, abilities to secure checkpoints before you actually go and execute into a site. And so on the defense, your job is really to get as much information as possible while also protecting those checkpoints. And on the attack, your job is to really stop your opponents from being able to figure out where you want to go. Make use of the teleporters to go back and forth between A and B. And of course, just make sure that you know how to take those checkpoints with the utilities that you're going to bring on. And speaking of which, we're going to have to see Raze. I mean, Raze has been like a must-pick agent on bind for some time. We rarely see a team not bringing Raze onto bind, but I'm curious to see if we're going to see Chamber, because again, Chamber has been falling off a little bit, but still is one of the best agents in terms of pick rate. So I think we're still going to see Chamber. Fade has also been an agent that we've seen become a very stable pick on bind. Now, the rest of the picks, I think, are going to depend on what the teams want to do. If they want to go for a double controller, then we're going to see Brimstone and Viper, or maybe Viper and Astra. If they want to go for double initiators, then we're going to see Fate alongside Sky, for example. Maybe even Sova is still going to make an appearance here on Bind. But Fade, I think, is the must pick today.
Yeah, Fade is a must pick. As I would say, Fade, technically I feel like Fade was literally made for Bind. It's the perfect agent for that. And you could throw it over so many different walls and areas without having to commit to get onto site. It's almost like a Sova, but even better, especially with her mark. And once it marks, when you throw out the Prowler, it's almost an instant hit where you can actually swing out for and get a pick with it. Regardless, her Nightfall as well is very, very great for taking up site. It takes out almost the whole way, including those little corners of lamps, I believe, as well. Regardless, when you think about it, you can go with either a double initiator comp with a Sky and Fade. I think it'll look really good, especially as you can use the Trailblazer as well as the Prowler to clear out so many different corners. And on top of that, those flashes are great for not only information gathering, but also great to just kind of get a pop flash or even a fake flash just to catch them off guard.
And again, with Sky and Fade, you have so many utilities to work with to gather information. So you can be sure where your opponents are really going to, and you can anticipate them going into a site wherever you have a flash being popped, or wherever you send a Prowler and detect someone. Then it's going to be easier for you to defend, especially. And on the attack, that's also very useful for you to take control. So honestly, I gotta say, I think Fade and Sky on Bind are two of my favorite agents together to be played. But that is if you do want to play the double initiator setup, right? And I think it's gonna depend. For Game Changers, the trend has been aggression. I love how our Game Changers players and teams are always so aggressive. So I think we're gonna err on the side of 2 initiators instead of 2 controllers.
Yeah.
But hey, we're gonna have to wait and see how they decide to play today.
Personally, I'm a big fan of the Brimstone over the Viper. Like, Viper's pit is absolutely good when it comes for it, especially on B side when you do it on the crate and it covers the first part of the of Hookah alongside the main side of the entrance to the B site. But if you have a Brimstone, the orbital strike is so great at not only taking up space but clearing out areas as well. Post plant is just so good with the Molly, and I really think that's just why I prefer a Brimstone over a Viper. But regardless, so long as your Viper is able to stay alive and your teammate can do all the work, it can drastically change the course of things as well. I'm really liking the way that we see more aggressive Vipers, like perhaps you have you play a rat corner and then you have the poison orb up and you can just get the shotgun 1 to 2 and they're immediately out of the way as well. It can be done as long as you have someone to watch your back. So it depends on what exactly these teams want to do. I mean, if you look at X10, they've done Viper as well as Brimstone. They've done them both at the same time. Same goes for Bren. But if you look at the agent lineups for both teams, it's both very similar.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? When it comes to having a similar agent composition, it comes down to the nuances. It comes down to the little details of how they want to approach a round. Do they take more active control, or do they play more for retake on defense and on attack? Are they going to go play slow, like what we saw between Zolvaraki and Orangutan? There's a difference, even though it's kind of similar in terms of lineup. One team loves to aggress right from the get-go. The other team strives when they play and take it slow. So let's see if that's going to happen today. Let's see if we're going to have a kind of a mirror comp, or at least a similar comp. But again, look at that. 2 raises right from the get-go. Yes.
I don't blame them. Because it's so great for clearing corners and entire one part of the site, especially hookah, as well as lamps as well. Now, I wanted to say that for X10S, they are the only team I see between the two that has not utilized a fade in bind compared to Bren. So Bren's comp is similar to their usual one with putting Alexi on the stage. She can either play a battle sage, boosting up her teammates, or either having Twirly jump up on it, or you can have a battle sage or a more defensive wall. Also, survivability will be a little bit better. Regardless, they have survivability in the form of Ginny this time around, running the Sky.
Yeah, and 2 controllers is what they decided to go with, Tash. So with the Brimstone and the Viper, they are set up for very good pokes plans.
I can't imagine it's going to be slow for them.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very slow. And on defense, they're also going to be very effective in terms of delaying your opponent's plays. Every time there's a smoke and it's going to dissipate, you think you can execute, there's going to be another smoke ready for them to defend. And I love this. Chambers, Raises, Brimstones. We are not seeing Sova. Sova is still kind of retired.
He's taking a nap.
He is.
Poor guy.
He is, poor guy. Unfortunate. And so, no fade on X10. I think it's pretty interesting. They're sticking with a kind of old composition. But hey, again, if it works, don't fix it.
Yeah, I think what I'm really hoping to see in terms of change for X10 is just not forcing the slow play all the time, because they do get punished for it again and again. And in terms of defense as well, maybe have some proactive rounds, because I know they're a very stonewall kind of team that will not really take initiative to take those picks. Regardless though, because we're gonna go into our first match between Bren Victress as well as X10S. Will X10S come out on top and show us how much they've learned and done in this year, or will Bren Victress take the top bracket?
Well, thank you, Tosh and Sleepy. For the meantime, it's going to be me casting this one out sole-handedly until we can get my partner back, if we can get Seiya, but you guys know what time it is. We got X10 Sapphire versus Bren Esports Victress, 2 teams that even Sleepy would agree that these 2 basically rosters are the ones that we're looking to expect to potentially overthrow the current queens of the entirety of APAC that we have seen there in the Alter Ego Celeste squad. These 2 teams, storied as they may be, they're gonna have to prove their right to be able to do that here today and throughout this tournament, throughout the elite stages of it. But man, we're looking at really 2 teams here that I think this could go either way. And even though, yes, on paper, these 2 teams are, potential best of 3 series type teams, I'm very curious about this pick, because first and foremost, if I was looking at this, to put things down on paper, Bind as a map is far more heavily favored towards Bren than X10, but then again, that's also noting the fact that typically that is Bren with Mikasi on that raise. Now they have Twirly on that raise, and we have seen her step into those duelist roles in the past. We've seen her play the Neon, we've seen her play the Reina, but it always was Mikasi who's been a big name on this map and on this stage when playing on Bind. Now X10, that gives him a bit of a fold here to try and wedge themselves in between and maybe take this map number 1 away from Bren. But then again, Pearl map number 2, that's going to be huge. A huge risk for X10 to take, one that could turn sour or one that could bode oh so well sweet. But let's take a look here now. Bren Esports Victress on the attacking side here for map number 1, round number 1, pistol round, and X10 Sapphire. They're looking to find the gems here on their defense. X10 waiting for a real response as Bren Victress. They've walked into hookah, and I hear my casting partner is with me. Hello, Sierra.
Hello there. Hello. I have returned.
Thank you.
You're
for not leaving me too long.
Of course, I'm always here. But then again, I have been seeing my screen right now, and we're already into the action. So, what do we have so far here, Black and Blue?
Well, opening pistol round. So far, only information being made is some noise there towards A short, and Bren Victress. Are they going to double down on it? No. They rotate back around. Zini takes lots of damage in that bout, but look at the patience here. They're both waiting, not wanting to overextend. Twirly, not coming out of that fight unscathed. They're going to have to commit to this B site now, and here it comes. The hunt. They know presence is towards long, but Twirly wins a big fight out. Baby TZ, big win as well. And Ali's able to get that huge pick off.
That's so far so good for the side of Victress right here. But then again, at least then Polly can
Last player standing.
Great Polly with another. Is this going to be? They could crossfire this if they wanted to, but they have to lie sometimes. Oh, both of them are going up. But then again, Alexi goes to secure their first round.
Oh, very dangerous. So close, but in the end, they get the round still. Victress really playing with the expectations of X10 here. You can see Bren, they try and make presence somewhere else, recommit, re-hit, but then back off away, continuously keeping X10 Sapphire guessing. Polly, though, multiple ways to win that one, and she almost pulled out one, but doesn't go her way. Alexi there, quick on the trade, and Victress to get the opening start on the attacking side that they need.
I mean, I do come to the strength that the Victress has towards this map, and look at that Shirazi with the opening before the trade of her own. A Muffin was able to take down Zini, but then again, there is also the rework that happened through. So right now, again, another spike has been planted down in towards B side. I love the aggression that's coming in from the Victress. Right now, the walls is so detrimental here because it'll take you a lot before it even and look out already into the backside. It's already prepared for that spray down, and Alexi, doing the supporting things, being able to really clean up that fight.
Being that captain and the IGL, it's a lot of responsibility on her shoulders, and that she delivers, wanting to lead by example, right? So, relatively clean round here from Bren, and these Spectres, the fact that they're able to hold on to 4 of them, actually, no, the one being a Bulldog on Zinni, still very formidable, and they can convert these type of rounds, especially on such a compact map here like Bind. So, going on to it, moving and pressing on forward, Bren Victress. They get the 2 rounds, can they get the 3rd? Showers trying to be fought on over. Quickly rescinded, though, by X10's Polly.
So far, so good for the side of Victress here, not overextending themselves. But, as I say it, I already see from the other side of the map that Alexi is trying to watch other bats. But look at this. I still love it that they're just playing the waiting game here, like expending all the skill sets or the utilities that X10 Sapphires have right now, because look at this, they're already towards the side's already rotating towards A side, and the others need to teleport Molly in for at least to try to lay the push, but no, she is going to be in the corner there because an escape from Lamp, spots it out, was able to dink Alyssa. Spike has been planted here for the side of Victress. Now all they have to do is just wait and play with these crossfires. They don't have to really go full on aggressive unless the flash will do something good. Turley with a one volley for the trade. That Alex still able to get that straight down. Oh, a bit of a reload there, but beautiful crossfire from both sides. Jimmy with a double, but Shirazi will get it down with the headhunter. That's with the pink shells here. Try to audio cue the defuse. That's one. They get another
Whoa.
muffin. Was able to tap them down and getting their first hit.
They barely came out of the win with that one. I don't understand why X10 Sapphire in that case did not burn that wall down to at least leave a gap to have more than one avenue of peeking, because you saw every single Sapphire player there from X10, they came through that small gap between triple and the bench, this literally one angle, and allowed Bren Victress to be able to funnel them, which is what you do not want to do when you have the firepower advantage. And as well as, you know, Ginny blinding your teammate by accident, and all these kind of unfortunate mishaps, it definitely could have been a round that Bren Esports took for their favorite muffin, just coming in big and not letting this get baked to a hand. So Bren, they've got rifles to work with. Let's see what they do with it.
Basically, to capitalize more and potentially getting up the score from side of the Sapphires here as early as possible. Ooh, I like the skin. Then again, a Viper's Pit already in towards Showers, trying to deny entry from this one. And for the side of the Victress, I feel like they're trying to play for these peaks once again, because look at how careful Alexi is trying to go in either towards B long or to the actual hookah. But I feel like it's more of them creating some amount of presence just so that repositions can happen from our defender's side.
Well, giving them that presence is what we saw a while ago, like with Orangutan, do efficiently, and that's what you're looking to see Bren Esports do here as well. The Seeker's out just to confirm their suspicions, but they already knew there's lots of presence here towards long. Slower, try and dissuade Muffin from progressing too further. Here comes out though the Nightfall. Muffin has to be careful, bails her teammate out of it. Shirazi on this fight does actually find one. It's Baby TZ rather. Twirly on the frag as well. A double for her. The res coming up for Alexi. Alyssa's in the corner but finds two with the Bulldog as well. Her bite as mean as her bark. Ginny here in the corner from the garden. Not going to be dissuaded, like a plant, like a tree. Cements herself within that garden, and now it's down to the 1v1. Polly has the advantage here, has the timing in her favor, drops down, has no choice but to go for the fight and wins it anyways! Polly looks away but double takes back on the Zinni, and X10, they get the round here, Sapphire.
Beautifully done by the X10 Sapphires here. Look at how they were able to isolate the fights despite all of the fiasco, all of these utilities. The trades are happening to and fro. Then again, that could have been a missed opportunity for the likes of Zinni, but it is quite understandable because she was already outside trying to prepare to plant. But then again, I feel like she didn't see that Polly was looking away, so the reaction time or the reaction speed wasn't really with her on that one. But then again, they are going to attempt this side, the more chances of success that they had here, and this were slowed down in towards lamps, but again it worked well. They were able to plant on the spike. Now they're back into our post-plant situation. So this time around, because our X10 Sapphires do have the better weaponry here, they could use it to their advantage. Right now, Polly will meet up with Alexi, who wins it out with that cap. There'll be one more page tells outpoint about using the showstopper. Waiting for it. Tries to let it go, but there is a trade happening out with the sheriff for the other, but behind Alexi goes for the kill as well. But Zinni got her back and secures the third round for the side of our victor.
The late lurk from Alexi coming in big, and even on the eco, Bren Victress, they make it work on out. They take the site, and X10 just crumbling here. Mirror Judge able to come in big, the showstopper as well to secure the round, even though she does get traded on out. But these sheriffs, big picks, and Alexi, as we said, that late flank of hers to find the pickoff just was the real beginning of this comeback from them. So Bren, they force X10 now into the same economic state. Now they have to go in ego.
Strike is used towards lamps, just try and throw them away. Baby TZ left with this one. Was able to take Shirazi down. Again, another orbital strike use. Actually, I got it other way around. At least I was able to take one down. Poorly for the trade as well for 4v3 situation. Spike has been it wasn't hit. Spike has been not yet planted. However, so they're quite in a pinch here. Over here uses the molly in towards showers to try and shove them once more. But then again, they are inside the side, but they haven't planted the spike just yet. Muffin has to be very careful. Beautiful tap in.
Player standing.
Of course, Baby T successfully in that alley, the one, but only 2 HP and the dream. Let's see how this goes, because look at Baby TZ already pre-aimed in towards the same spot. Let's see if Ali is able to really get down. Gun was already seen, and a valiant effort as this to try and crouch. Thrifty round goes to X10 Sapphire.
Thrifty for Thrifty. Seems like a value sale here we've got going on, because either side, they take away the round that they're not supposed to win, but still make it work out. Muffin. Great side swipe there. And X10 just deliver the same sentence that Bren Esports Victress gave onto them the previous round. So things being traded back and forth here. Bren Victress this time on the eco. Really no team able to get themselves stable enough and stabilize an economy to continuously buy here, even after a loss.
And look at all these. Maybe he's able to capitalize onto the rifle. Once again, denying entry ports from Hookah, and now we have yet to see Shirazi really pop up. But right now, again, this is the choke for their side, so best bet would be to on the head. Alexi was able to take one as well as the Stinger for Zinni here. Beautiful timing from them. But from the behind
enemy remaining.
Go make it free. Or
Down
Ginny.
B.
Not gonna stop there just yet. The spike is down in towards the site. There is a tour de force from Shirazi. Waiting for the smoke. Oh, this is the shot. Wait, what is it gonna be? Another transfers into the backside here. But the last shot out falling onto the side. As when it's preoccupied in towards the tin can. Valiant effort from Shirazi.
Definitely was. And the way they dismantled that crossfire there, say, towards the hookah. Look at this. The quick dink from Alexi to swing on back. Zinni and Alexi open up that hookah, but Ginny just in a way too big of a spot. She rubbed the lamp, came out the genie, gave him a bit of magic. Well, that was all they needed to secure the round. Shirazi in a difficult spot there to try and pull it off. And X10. They call a timeout even after winning the round, so they want to slow things down here. They know this game has been going back and forth in terms of rounds. They want to continue what's been working for them.
This is also an opportunity, at least, for Bren Victress to try to reassess whatever plans that they're trying to take whenever they do attempt to take a hold of a site, because we actually kind of see it as pretty beautifully chaotic in a way wherein skills are out, utilities are out, and yet they don't have a certain amount of follow-up here whenever one is being taken down. So I feel like they do have to reassess that, because in the first few rounds of our game, they have been doing pretty well in terms of their strategy.
Those early rounds is typically where, as you said, right, where they do kind of find a bit more fortune, but I guess a lot of times it favors the bold. And if we see them take these type of rounds where we're going to see big risks coming in, especially on the attacking side, that's where Bren Victress can really start to secure some of these rounds and really start to get themselves going. Snakebite on out, utility burned, yes, that's the bot for a snakebite, so all is well. Bren Victress, once again, held up at the choke point, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the utility to dry on out, and Shirazi, absolutely huge pick she finds on Alyssa.
And right now, again, these utilities are making it a bit hard for Bren Victress to actually try and enter Hookah, but they still do have less than a minute to spare to try and make things work, so they could go full blown out in here if they are able to set their utilities right. And of course, Speaker's advantage as well. But from kind of X10, I think they're doing pretty good in terms of taking a hold of it, because the mere fact that the Victress are having difficulty in really taking these sites is something they have to really, consider. Right now, look at these Muffin
30
is able to
seconds left.
take Rozzy down, who is alone. So being able to split up may not be the best of a strategy, but they were able to wall off the narrow side of A, and they are able to plant down the spike. This is where things get a little bit messy for Bren Victress. Let's see if they do anticipate this.
Really smart here for X10 Sapphire, for both Muffin and Baby TZ to go take showers, knowing that the site hit was about to come very soon. They can't get pincered, and Muffin finds a huge pick. She has been absolutely stellar in these fights. Polly and Ginny simply rubbing the lamp, and they come out once again from the lamps. X10, great round. Completely read like a book there, Bren Victress was, and I have to reiterate there. Baby TZ and Muffin, you saw the position they were playing. Baby TZ on that triple, Muffin closer towards the showers. They realized, if the site execute comes and there's only 2 of us in this site in a 4v5, they're not going to be in a good spot to try and fend all of that off from both showers and from the A short position. So they choose on one, they gamble for which one would have less presence, and they make the right choice. They go towards that showers control. After that, for the flank on after from the rear exit, and that just really made things so much more difficult from Bren Victress. Great heads up, and once more, a spectacular read here from Sapphire.
Speaking of a good call, Bren Victress also calls for a timeout here, which is basically the thing that they need right now, because the things or the plays that they're attempting to do doesn't really go in towards their favor, and yet it goes vice versa. So right now, Bren Victress, I feel like they need to capitalize more on, like, I feel like in terms of number advantage or man advantage, because there's no follow-up whenever they do. Yes, they do try to split push, but there's no one to really have their backs whenever the aim duels are happening. So again, for the side of X10, they're doing pretty well, and our panelists have mentioned that they are sick at the moment, but I don't think that's faltering their their gameplay anytime soon.
It seems like they're not sick, but they're like sick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're sick. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're kind of incorporating it in towards their gameplay right now. It's as if balance the medicine for whatever sickness they have right now.
Let's not forget Michael Jordan had one of his best games of all time with the flu. So
exactly. So like,
this just might give you a bit of that. I guess I don't know. We're just copium and hopium for this Searcher squad, rather X10 squad. Excuse me.
Yes.
Because they're doing really well. This star-studded Thai roster has been such a dominant force in the APAC scene for a while. Vinny's gonna have to eat a lot of this nade, but he gets away with it unscathed. Finds a third. The fourth doesn't come. Zinni and Twirly answer back in response. Still, though, the advantage here towards the X10 side. Twirly, he can find his pick somehow versus Polly and control that hookah. That's going to be huge. But Polly too quick to adjust. It's all on the Zinni right now. That's it. That's done. Round secured. Next 10. Once again, off of some great positioning from Ginny, secures the equalized half at least.
Just appeared on my eyes.
I see.
So, but right now, yeah, I know it's. I mean, I feel like
it's not like you haven't left me in the past.
Yes, of course. No, I did not. But then again, I feel like it's my feed that is sick. With all of these intense plays that are happening for the side of X10 and Sapphires, the fact that they are able to catch up in towards the scores and not letting our Victress really get that breather going on, it's something I have to consider. But look at this Baby TZ. Ready? Who gets to peek first?
Chamber v Chamber.
Ooh, the discipline that Shirazi has to put out in here.
They're within breathing distance of that corner. Little do they know, here's Seiya, but so is Alyssa. if she comes around this and peeks into the showers, she might find quite a clogged drain, because there's like 3 players there from Bren Victress. Actually make that a 4th now that Zinni's joined to regroup with them. It's going to be very difficult to push out of here though. Here comes out that Nightfall. The shot from the op connects. Baby TZ making a quick work here of Shirazi, and Alyssa just burns Alexi down. Both Ali and Alexi, one after the other. Muffin follows up, and Zinni's the last one left alive, but she can't even have a mere chance to fight. As X10 Sapphire, they find the rubies, the gems, and the diamonds to get them in to the 7th round and secure the advantageous half.
This is so interesting how our Sapphires are not faltered by any means, and they're just, it's just the regular game, as they say, and they're doing really wonders because, again, if you look at here at the quick replay from earlier, Zinni wasn't really able to see the light of day in towards that showers, and the fact that the Sapphires know how to really create and anticipate their movement is something quite a shocker. And Baby TZ again popping off with the operator is really an impending threat.
She is such a big problem here for Victress. You get a pick though. At least Alyssa goes down. That's Grim. They still got Polly, and she has full control of this situation and of that showers. Her finding that pick allows X10 Sapphire to take that teleporter from the B site and simply come in through, and now they can come in from behind. But Ginny, sole player from the actual defender side spawn. Polly, oh my goodness, she finds a 4th off of it too! I know it's an eco kill, an eco round here against it, but still, the fact that she came out of that from the orbital, exemplary here we're seeing from Polly especially.
Holy moly.
Last round in the half.
He has been one of the players from X10 Sapphires that are really, especially when the team needed her most, she is there. And even if she's like separated in terms of guarding the site, she knows her position. She knows when to really enter the stage, and it's really evident right here as she takes the 4K. It's as if don't worry teammates, I got you, take a rest for a bit, and the fact that she has that impression, she really has to her especially with her great utility.
They've been using this exact utility combo over and over, right? Simple. They have this cloud smoke up, this poison cloud, and then simply snakebite into it, and that's fended off Bren Victress time and time on over from taking that hookah. And because they don't have hookah, now they have only one choice, and that's to go A. To go through B long and only have gardens can be very difficult if you don't have that hookah control, especially if there's quite the defensive force within it. So Alyssa has the orbital strike here to deny plant. Twirly makes her way into the lamps, but that light, I think it's going to fade quick if she doesn't find the pick off of it. She does find herself in a position to do so, though, but can't find more than one, as Alyssa completely goes nuclear. Orbital strike strikes down 2 and follows up with the 4th. It's all on the Zinni, and this is just so difficult for her. What a round here from X10 Sapphire, and what a half already. 9-3 almost assuredly confirmed. The ace doesn't go her way, but they know that this round is done.
Zinni makes miraculous play right here. 9-3, potentially curse. I do not want to, curse it. That's why I'm jinxing it. But again, right
time.
now,
10 seconds left.
It does. But up to what extent? Because us,
you got a knife out. You got a knife out.
Yeah.
No time to plant.
Oh, again, it reached 3.
One
Get another, but not enough time to spot out Polly, and Polly. Overkill still does not let Zinni live another day in towards that round, and just like that, we are already heading towards our 2nd half. And again, you mentioned it here, Alyssa, great usage of orbital strike, plus she took advantage of the Bren Victress's peeking one by one outside of lamp. That is such a smooth transition coming in from.
What was smooth is definitely Alyssa. We're gonna go to the panel though to talk about that half, and we'll see you guys in a bit.
And there we have it, guys. The first half of our first map between Bren Victress as well as X10 Sapphire. Now, I just want to say that this is a very, very different X10 Sapphire that I've seen throughout this year till today. Very aggressive, very, very confident. What do you think, Sleepy?
Yeah, I think they're very confident in terms of just tanking all those utilities that came their way from the side of Bren Victress. Look at Ginny tanking the paint shells towards Cubby at B and then getting a 3K. And then also look at Poli tanking the freaking orbital strike towards Showers and then getting multi-kills off of that. And then Alyssa also just stepped in and get a 4K of her own. So honestly, this is
for everyone.
Multi-kills for everyone, right? This is the form of X10 Sapphire that we wanted to see and we have been seeing all the way since last chance. So if they can just keep this form up, Tash, I don't think there's any real way for Bren Victress to really beat them, especially because Bren Victress, I have to say, they haven't been looking too solid. Although they did, you know, play neck to neck with X10 as in the first few rounds. You know, the back-to-back 50s as well towards round number 5 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they were able to hold off X10S and they were able to break apart the defense from X10S. But then each of the individuals from the side of X10 just decided to get 3Ks and 4Ks all the way to 9-3 lead.
It's a very, very large lead. I mean, if you have at least 4 or 5, I think it will be a little bit easier to climb back. But we've seen miracles in the 9-3. That's why it's called a curse. Because we can see so many people take so many rounds in a row. Now, I don't think it's impossible, especially on Vine. Because as we saw before, this map is a little bit, I believe it's a little bit more easy. Well, that's how I feel on defensive side. And I think they really, really solidified that lead as they switched around before. Now, for X10S, what's really important is that they managed to close the game, and I think this is something that they kind of struggle with throughout the entire year, where they get the lead and they're not able to close the game. And I hope it's very different. But as for Bren Victress, I'm really hoping that they can crawl back and just show a more dominating side on defense. Regardless, guys, we're gonna go into our second half of our map, going to Bind. I'm gonna pass it over to Nico and Zeora.
There you have it.
First name basis there, Natasha.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We are both ends. We start with ends. We might as well be siblings at this point.
Ooh.
Anyway, Saya, I'm gonna give you a number, a stat here.
Okay.
X10 Sapphire, excuse me, are a 43% win rate team on defend and 58, which means on the attack they are typically better even than they are on the defensive side, and that doesn't bode well if you're on the Bren Victress squad.
Wait, you mean to tell me that they weren't better in the defender side? I mean, look at the scores right now. I feel like the stats are gonna change because of this. And other panels have said, Black and Blue, they literally, it's as if we've seen already this before, but on separate occasions. But right now, in towards the first half, all of them just, pops off. And right now, the way that they're trying to take the attacker side here, it's similar to our Victress, very patient, but at the same time, I feel like they're gathering information first or trying to get the feel of each of the sites. So right now, they're slowly transitioning in towards B, and I'm kind of excited how they are going to enter here, because take note, you mentioned this earlier, Black and Blue, that they have been doing this similar utility usages in towards Hookah, wherein Polly has her smoke and her snakebite as well. So let's see how things are gonna go from here, knowing that Bren Victress doesn't have that. But to start it, Zinni takes basic easy.
Yeah, it's a great swing there coming from Zinni. Alexi taking damage, but hey, she's a sage. Patch yourself up, try another day, and continue the fight. 4v5. Ali, that Prowler, gains him some information that there is close contact. And with Muffin playing on there, she's in a difficult spot right now. They can kind of pincer her on in, but Alyssa and Ginny, they're all crumbling here. Victress under the hands of X10 Sapphire, or just completely overwhelming in dominance. 10-3. The pistol round goes their way once more. And that was a crucial round for Victress to win. It wouldn't be out of the question here for them to force buy into this round, but no. Seems like they want to just bank on these pistols and maybe come back from an even bigger deficit.
I feel like they are going to still save in towards this round because because if they do, if let's say the Sapphires do get this 11th round into their arsenal, they may have a bit more economy onto the next. But this is, as you mentioned, the crucial part for Victress. They do not wait out, but on with the spray. Despite having still get one baby easy already on the
One enemy remaining.
towards Narnia. I call it Narnia, but still. It takes 2 and left Alexi alone in towards to try and make the best out of things. But I think you're gonna agree with me that this is
Spike
very
planted.
much a difficult path to take for her.
I wholeheartedly disagree. Okay, it's gonna be very
Okay,
hard.
you believe that Alexi would clutch, I see.
Maybe a bit of hopium, maybe a bit of copium, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's just real.
Realistically, yes,
This is,
yeah.
realistically, this is done. This is done round at the very least. They're gonna have to come back somehow, 11-3, which is a huge lead. That is
Enemy removed.
okay. At least something.
Yeah.
She can find that one. This round is ultimately done though. Maybe get a
Yeah.
kill or two, but ultimately has to go down to the spike as well. You make more economy that way, can buy up in the next round for an actual rifle, and that's about on it. Sapphire, they don't want to give a single kill anymore to Alexi, so they'll let her have it. 11-3. X10, they are sitting comfortably here with a huge cushion underneath their seat.
Huge wall to climb for the side of Victress right here. I feel like they kind of, actually not kind of, they did tone down ever since after losing the 4th round from earlier, and it just went on a domino effect for the side of Sapphires. They were able to capitalize the first half and now really reflecting it onto this one. And I feel like for the Sapphires, I feel like there's no sudden change whatsoever in what they're doing here because it's really working well. And the fact that the Victress are not having any retaliation or not having an answer to this strategy is making things all the more harder for them.
At the very least, they do wall off the showers, which we saw a while ago. X10, they wanted to take control of that early. Denied for the meantime though by Victress, so seems like they want to take their talents elsewhere. Walk towards that B site, rotate, and see if that's going to give them a more opportunistic opening. Victress, 3 defenders on this site, lots to really go through if you're X10 Sapphire right now. As soon as that trademark, as soon as that hookah has been given away and they've passed the threshold of that, nades, the mollies, the prowlers, lots can be thrown at them and keep them at bay.
But right now, again, for the side of X and Sapphires, they do have the luxury to just really take time.
There, 30
But
seconds left.
for the side of Bren and Victress, they really need to make this work. That's going to be a stray. Zinni with a kill of her own. Ali as well on towards the sides. They're making things work here. But Zinni spots out Ali. She is making it work for her team on the other side, 2 versus 1, and we have
10
known
seconds
Zinni
left.
to be one of the most prestige in terms of clutch plays, unless the wall bang did not make it through.
Spike planted.
Also the head did not go in, but Shirazi with the jiggle peek, it folds and still saved them a
You
round.
love that, aren't you? How
Not
stuck
really,
in your
it's
head
just-
is it?
Yeah, it was stuck in my head for quite some time because I just saw it and then it's just on my head. But you know what's that? What else is in our heads this round? This is very detrimental for Bren Victress to really
seconds
try
left.
and climb it all the way back to make it a more tangible scoreline.
30 seconds
And
left.
so are X10. They're definitely ahead of the situation right now. Ali, for her to hold down this garden position was really what sealed it in. She does go down, yes, but ultimately she's done her job, finds a 2, defends off such a huge, important power position for that post plant potential. But X10, Sapphire, they got guns now, they got rifles to work with. And those Seekers, when it comes into the mid-round, those are going to be huge. And so that's what I'm looking to see for them to capitalize off of. Showers control. We've seen Victress, Victress want to fight for this over and over. The orb being taken on here. Muffin wins that fight, but they come out of it relatively on top. Here comes out the Seekers. And now that there's only 3 players left on Victress, they're going to find every single player and where they are.
And they are yet to locate. They're coming in from their spawn. And of course, this is a good opportunity for them to plant this time around. 4v3 situation. Use the Prowler to take some amount of information, but no luck. As well as the boom bot, they're slowly trying to enter in the side. Let's see what X10 has to say about this. Concuss is swirling towards the side as well as the flash, but up to what extent can this go far beyond? As you see, Baby TZ taking one down. Let's see how Zinni and Ali make this work, because they still go in the showers, but maybe TZ says no. I got this, guys, with the 3K. Beautiful break.
Match point.
That was so smart. Here, intellectual decision making from X10 Sapphire. They know 4v3, they had the advantage, but more importantly, they knew as well that the orbital strike was available there for Zinni. So what do? They don't play within lamps, they don't play inside that U-Haul, and the only player who's actually within sight is Baby TZ, who has a chamber, can back out if so needed. And that just goes to show how ahead X10 are of this game right now. They know what to expect. They know that Victress, without having Mikasi, who they really rely on a lot to play as the Raze on the spine, not that, you know, Twirly is any shy of it, but she just isn't as known for it for many reasons. She is a great Raze, a great Neon, or a great Reyna as well, but Mikasi gave them something different, and you can see that they're really sorely missing that extra firepower, that extra spark that she provided to this roster.
I will agree with you on that. I feel like it's more on the choice of agent for the side of Shirazi, because I feel like Shirazi could really get her highlight, the limelight, all the more if it were a different one. And as you mentioned, the firepower is quite lackluster here, especially her being on the hands of a chamber, which I feel like could work in a different map. Then again, right here, Ali takes a stinger and one down to Baby TZ, but Alyssa goes for the trade with her going a look or pre-aim. But Jinny as well takes one of her own. Zinni uses the tin can to try and capitalize this presence. Takes one down.
One enemy
and
remaining.
spike has been planted. Polly, however,
Attackers win.
finishes this off very quickly with a 2K black and blue. Not even giving us time to speak or really break down the lines. It's just, hey guys, let me just close this page for a bit, you know, just turn it on.
They closed
to
the
other
chapter,
side.
they closed the volume, they might as well close the darn thesaurus, because that was just a very one-sided show here coming from X10 Sapphire. They completely looked like throughout the entire time they were in mere bonus, constantly winning rounds that they know they should, constantly just winning fights that they definitely should. And as we said, the lack of firepower did kind of seem apparent there. Unfortunately enough for Bren Victress, they couldn't get really a good mid game. They had an okay start, right? Going back and forth there, trading blows really with X10 Sapphire, but as soon as X10 Sapphire called the timeout, that was it. And they continued on and won almost every single round right on after. I'm curious to see, if you're the coach like of Bren Victress, where's your timeout, right? Where is that call? And I'm not putting blame on anybody here, but where is it? You're getting blown out of rounds consecutively, 5 rounds in a row. Where is the timeout? How did they slow down the pace? And just never really came for Victress. And even when it was too late, it still didn't come. So has to be some real decisions made here going into Pearl, because that one was completely oriented in the favor here of the side of X10 Sapphire.
I'm quite excited because, again, this is the very first Pearl that we're gonna have here at the VCT APAC Elite. So I think we're gonna, you know, get our swimsuits on, Sandy Cheeks residents, you know, but we'll pass it on to the panels to see what they think. Guys, take it away.
Welcome back, everyone, to the panel. Thank you very much to Black and Blue as well as Zia Aura for the amazing cast. And we saw a very, very dominating map all the way there from X10S. It's gonna be me, Tash Buddy, alone on desk as we wait for Sleepy to fix his internet connection. But I do have a few things to share with you guys. Starting off with what I've said earlier in the second half, I have to say that seeing the game today really showed me that for X10S, they are a team that is really, really dedicated to fixing whatever that they've learned throughout the entire year. Not a convincing one, especially from them when it comes to closing the games, especially early in the year of stage 1, stage 2. But finally, they made it out in the end with, I would say even 9-3 was not enough to kind of bring them back. Bren Victress, I would say, is a team that's a little bit more aggressive, but what's great about X10S is more of like how they're able to punish Bren Victress's aggression. How they play and how they move has been something of, I would say, the first half for them in the beginning was more of a interactive get to know moment where they kind of figure out how exactly to take each round from each player. Now, in terms of X10S, once they figured it out, the way they use their utilities is a force to be reckoned with. We saw earlier how Polly is just tanking utils, not only from X10 Sapphire, but also her teammates. This provides, I would say, an element of surprise. And on top of that, playing in these very aggressive rat corners gives them those picks that they need to. Another idea on what they've done is to play off-site, where they allow Bren Victress to take the site when they've been losing the earlier parts of the second half, opting to play on retakes, only leaving Baby TZ on there. So when Baby TZ picks maybe 1 or 2 when in a corner that they didn't check, all that X10S has to do is come up from different areas. And how they're always keeping an eye on the on Bren Victress's ultimate bar is also something that is very, very smart, because how they play it is that, okay, these are usually areas where the orbital strike might come through, so these are the areas we should avoid altogether, and we should be coming from different sides. So because of that, they are often not only taking people off guard, but also they're baiting those utilities from Bren Victress to the point that by the time they're coming onto the site, Bren Victress has nothing to work with. No flashes, no zoning, no ults, nothing, not even any smokes. So what can you do to defend yourself against a team that's just tanking all of your initial utils? What they're doing basically is just go for the bait as much as they can before finally committing for that retake. And I really gotta give it to them. We've seen a very stonewall X10S earlier in the year that's usually waiting for enemies to come instead of going to them. But their change of pace from playing that stonewall to going and playing aggressive, that changing up catches Bren Victress off guard. And on top of that, this is Bren Victress's map pick. Now, as we go into the next match, it's gonna go to Pearl, and this is X10's pick. So before we talk about that, we're gonna go have a quick break. When we come back, it's gonna be Pearl, and I'm really excited to see what these girls have in mind, what kind of rat ideas they have. So don't go anywhere. This is VCT Game Changers APAC Elite. everyone, and welcome back to the Valorant Game Changers APAC. This is Elite, and I am your lone host and analyst Tashmani, as Sleepy has probably fallen asleep somewhere. Regardless, we are going to map number 2 for the second match of the day, at least on this stream, and it's gonna be X10S versus Bren Victress. It's a very dominating win for them on map number 1, at least for X10S. I'm wondering if Bren Victress will be able to take this back. So we'll be going into the map Pearl, and this is going to be a very, very important map, at least for the team that picks it. This is X10S. So why is it important? For a lot of teams that learn newer maps that are new, like Fracture when it first came out, what's really important to note is that these maps, if mastered early, can become the trump card against other teams. Being one of the earliest players to master the agent or even a map will show that. And one of the teams that we've seen during Game Changers, during VCT Champions over in Istanbul recently has been PaperX. Now, when you want to look at stats or want to talk about stats on Pearl, both teams are basically non-existent when it comes to it. This is the first tournament this map will be played. Whether or not the new patches has been put into the game, I am not sure quite yet. I'll only be able to see once we go into there. If it is still the previous map that is played during Istanbul, I can expect all those interesting Jing walls that has been done by PaperX, or even some very, very cheeky and aggressive plays, because there are so many different areas, corners that has to be cleared compared to the newer patch where it's a little bit bigger and breathable. So what's really important to note when it comes to Pearl is that it is a map that comes with A site. It's a little bit more on the short range. It's more about taking up space. If you want to play A site, you have to be able to take control of not only A main and A link, just to distract and kind of not allow the other team to dictate the momentum, especially as they go into A site. Mid control particularly more important, I believe, as when you have control of mid, you have access directly to B site as well without having to go through long. Long is, especially on B site, one of the most annoying and scary places to cross for both teams, because both teams will be able to grab picks with the up or long range shots, especially if you have guns like, say, the Tour de Force from Chamber, the Headhunter, as well as the Vandal. Marshall also counts as well. So what exactly do you have to do here is to really find out or take control of those chokeholds. Once you've passed through as attack, it shouldn't be too hard. Personally, for me, I think that Pearl is a little bit more biased to attack site. Feels a little bit more easier to get onto site than defending the site. But this is also very important, because how do you defend the post plant? What are you going to do? How are you going to take up space? And from which area are you going to go to? So taking up space, kind of like similar to Bind, is very important. Each space is considered a puzzle piece. And this map as well is very, very important to note where exactly the lineups are going to be coming from. There's a lot of little cracks over the wall on top of different area that you can use. Regardless of if you're using Fade or a Sova, there are different ways for you to utilize each lineup. As for Fade in particular, throwing the Haunt all the way to mid through the crack in Art, I believe, has been really great and phenomenal to finding out if anyone is there and getting the advantage in terms of push when you can activate the Prowler as well at the same time. So for me personally, when if you like to play a little bit more open spaces, you can still go to B. It's very, very great for agents like Chamber. You put one player there just to kind of anchor that long side, and the rest can be watching mid just to make sure that no one can take a B link. But if you decide that you want to go to a different area altogether, let's say A, I think what's really important to note is that you want to take A, you must be very, very proactive in taking either A link or A main. What's really important is that it cubby holds the agents onto the site itself and not allowing them to really move. Now, if you're going to be cubby holding them, you can just clear them out with utilities, or you can just go aggressive and swing out. Either that or the enemies will be pushed into the backside towards spawn, and you already have full control of the area. I have to say that for me personally, dugout is a very dangerous corner, because for some reason, a lot of players forget to check that corner, especially there and secret. So there's also a different way of trying to navigate through that as well. Regardless, that is a very wall bangable area. So play at your own risk for both teams. regardless, we're still waiting for both teams to be ready. And I think for me personally, what I really like to see in terms of agents, in terms of Pearl, is that I like to see a raise. It helps to clear out so many different angles and corners. I love seeing Fade, so great at doing the same thing as well as establishing that side control. Really like seeing a Brimstone, as his ultimate does cover a very large chunk of the area. A Chamber is really good for those long range as well as lurks, and that's also something that's really important to note. Lurking is also very heavy on Pearl side A, reminiscent to what you would expect on a Fracture. So how exactly do you do a lurk on this? Well, this is very interesting, as if you have an Omen or even a Chamber, that without mid-side control, you'll be able to get picks. So agent select now here, and I'm curious to see what exactly are these lineups. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been stated on VLR about these teams, and all the data or gameplays that I have or seen only comes from what I saw during VCT Champions. So we have a Neon for Muffin, and Muffin has been absolutely phenomenal on that, and we're going to be seeing an almost mirror matchup here, at least. For the side of X10S, they're not going for a Jet or even a Raze, going for the Neon instead, but both teams are going to be going with a Chamber. Now, for Bren Victress, they still prefer Alexi on the Sage, and as for Polly, she'll be running the Astra, and I don't blame her. The Cosmic Divide is great for the cross map, and is really good when it comes to the Gravity Well as well as the Concuss. Fade, both teams across the board using that, as well as a Viper for both teams. Now, what exactly does Viper provide? Great util usage that can be used from different areas. If, say, she were to set that utility on the site itself and she were to run to the other side, she can actually provide a lot more cover from long range as she rotates through. And on top of that, she'll be able to get those early picks with her smokes as well. Given the fact that there is the decay, as well as lineups from the lineups from the snake bite as well. Regardless, I'm really curious to see which type of lineup will work, which agent composition will work, and what exactly is going on here as my co-host analyst is back. Oh my god, I'm so happy.
I'm so sorry, Taj. I'm sorry, everybody. I took a play from Zaya's playbook, leaving my co-host. Just talking by ourselves. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'm back, and I'm ready for Pearl. This is going to be exciting, Taj.
Do you see the lineups?
Yeah,
Agents,
I mean,
what do you think?
I think it's insane that these players are trying these out, so I just can't wait to see how this goes. So we'll talk about it more at halftime. Here we go.
Well, thank you so much, panelists. And of course, we are here in the caster's desk. My name's Saya, and with me is Black and Blue, who did not leave me this time. And of course, you're not playing by my book. It just so happens I got the boon of death.
Oh.
Then again, of course, we have
Is it my fault?
No, not your fault. Don't worry about it. But then again, we have seen the lineups. We are gonna enter, Bikini Bottom here as we go to Sandy place and we go to Pearl. But then again, what are your thoughts for this match, Black and Blue? Because this is technically match point for X10 Sapphire, and if I'm not mistaken, this is their map pick. So. Ooh.
Well, I'm at least composition-wise, right? Because we haven't really seen either of these teams ever play Pearl, and composition-wise, I am liking what I'm seeing on the Victress' side more, right? They got that Raze, which generally could be a great stop for a Neon, right? She tries to run on in, here's a blast pack in your face, or here is a boom bot or a nade. Lots of ways to stop that. Neon, though, is a really good duelist pick, if anything. I think on Pearl, one of the best ones you can have, so I do like that going for them. But on the X10 Sapphire side, we see double controller for them. And if there's anything we took from watching the Valorant Champions, right, there were a lot of teams, especially the EMEA teams, that like to employ the double controller on this map, but it simply did not work. In fact, EMEA was one of the worst regions on Pearl for that fact, and they almost always tried to run a double controller. It never really worked out for them, so that's what I'm curious about. This Sage gives you a lot more, I guess, yes, simplicity, but sometimes simplicity is that key, and that's what Bren Victress have got going for themselves here. Twirly back on that Raze, and this is a map that should bode a bit better for her and for the sake of the Victresses.
And with that being said, Black and Blue, we're already going to start the action right here, starting it off with the paint shells to try and, delay some pushers in towards B side, just for safety on it. And right now we do see Headhunter for Shirazi. Good opening coming in from the Victress right now. And we see, in terms of manpower, they are quite in a pinch right now. Shirazi, though, only having 25 HP left. Neon, Muffin, though, trying to really enter towards into another avenue of entry to the site. Let's see if Shirazi is able to hear that, but I know as if on cue, now they do plant the spike and the retake is gonna happen here. That's another as Vinny takes advantage of that 1-by-1 peek from the Victor.
It's curious that Vinny's this time on that Viper, not Pauly anymore. Shirazi, huge pick, but Pauly's going absolutely huge. You call the devil and she's gonna show up. Alyssa follows up as well after. An X10 Sapphire. They lose the opening pick as Shirazi found baby TZ. But then they make a great call to go into that B link and wrap around that further pushed up defense. And they knew that, okay, since they kind of nested themselves deep in B long, they can go around them, and that they did. On the retake as well, though, that double mid push from Bren Victress, it should have worked out. But some way, somehow, Ginny, like a snake in the grass, strikes without them knowing.
Definitely, and I really like it because they really watched out for this mid side because, again, there's a lot of, entry points that can come from here, and this is definitely, I guess you can say instinct-wise for Ginny, and it really worked well. A quick teleport from Shirazi as well, with only less space to work with, but Muffin is able to secure doors over here and to again potentially come in this area. But right now Shirazi this time around is trying to really safeguard her to try and prevent what happened in towards our first pistol round.
But say,
and
the big important thing I want to know here is what is the difference really between a muffin and a cupcake? Would you happen to know?
I mean, I would let you or the gang answer that because I am too quite curious
to Google. Muffin
to Google
versus cupcake.
But of course, while we're Googling that, I'm
left.
pretty sure this type of tactic can't be Googled as we see again attempt of that spike plant successfully towards B, kind of rattles up the members of Bren, not looking from their behind. This could be their demise. Free from Holly, but Alexi goes for the trade, and right now she can only go so far as to take that Spectre down. And let's see if the double peak jumps off of it. Not letting Alexi see the light of day and towards B main. Second point goes to Sapphire. Do you have your answer now?
Yes, I do. A muffin is apparently typically larger and less sugary than a cupcake normally would be. That makes sense, right? I think it really ties on into how they've been playing. Super really consistent. We've seen just like the texture of a muffin here coming from her, and we also see a lot more, I guess, fluidity in the ways that she can bring things right. Muffins, many ways you can serve a muffin, and that's really what X10 have been showing us. We saw it on Bind, their attacking side, right? It gave us many different dynamic looks, and that real possibility of having a bit more flexibility in the way they play has been what has been giving X10 Sapphire the edge here. And knowing that they've got a bunch of Spectres, melt down this wall and try to contest the closer angles that we know our weapons actually could make some good damage on. Perfect slow orb though here by Alexi to stop that pace. That was really well timed.
I mean, this is the third round already, and you don't really want to be taken down with the similar amount of strategy. And as you mentioned, fluidity, and it's as if that X10 Sapphire muffin, to be specific, is basically like the balance of the team, not just because she's the duelist alone, but because the way that she really enters in towards the site, or the way that she gives space to the team just so that they can have their setup properly is, it's like the salt to every recipe. It balances things out. And right now, this time the spike has been patted towards it. Look at how they position themselves. Very much uncommon. It's not your usual play. But the fact that, you know, Bren Victress this time around is trying to, you know, compensate for their losses. Alyssa, for the X10 Sapphires, they're just shutting them down. Like, literally.
Well, we know there's a recipe for success, but what X10 Sapphire is showing here, it's only a mere matter of days, isn't it, my friend? Twirly, though, that's a huge pick. Alyssa goes down. She almost assuredly had that, I thought, Twirly was low HP, but now they can stick this defuse and get the half. On the swing, though, great find here by Shirazi. The follow-up with the right click connects as well, and they get the round, barely. They've got the time to make it happen, yes they do. And Bren Victress come out of it when it seemed so dangerous, so deadly. The bonus, though, almost being converted by Sapphire, so still a great bonus.
We've been eyeing out for food here, Black and Blue, and I can see that the Victress are quite hungry. They're not gonna let this score really get further and beyond, and despite the uncommon tactics or positioning from X Sapphires, the fact that they were able to retaliate here is something that we have to take into account. Again, even though we do see some spice that's happening towards the tactics of our X10 Sapphires, Bren Victress here, they're trying to at least staple themselves in a manner wherein they can adapt to whatever fiasco can happen here. But seeing the success in towards B main, it's quite also expected that our X10 Sapphires are going to try and attempt that once again.
Well, Sapphire
Bring them down.
have been really just so sharp multiple times on over from that bind map, and Pearl could be the same case. Could be the same case. Victress, they put up that too much cake already. Too much confectionery deliciousness has been stuck in my head. But what's also been going on is just how sweet these rounds have been. This map has been so far, at least early on. Not even a full buy from Victress. Zinnia loses out that fight. Great trade from Shirazi. Alexi follows on up. A second goes to her way. They try and take her down, but they simply can't combine their powers and efforts enough.
30 seconds left. One enemy remaining.
Oh, Spike as well as in towards Alexi, but then again, a Ginny with the trade, but Alexi with the 3 shuts her down, goes for the cleanup, and makes things an even play area.
Beautiful round there from Victress to finally answer on back from Bren Esports here. And Polly, yeah, she gets that one, but everything then on after didn't really go in the way of X10 at all. Alexi up close. Even though they didn't have a full buy, able to convert these rounds, that Spectre is so formidable in that range where you can still be somewhat mobile and then just shred someone up with a fast rate of fire up close. That is where it truly shines. In Bren Esports, they're looking like the true gems of this opening half so far, but it's really early on. They've got a set up here towards that long, and that tour de force could be big.
Still going to 10. Ooh, that's definitely a very nice kind of a prowler from early over here. Then looking back, Muffin, however, with the stinger, not going to replace herself with the rifle, interestingly enough. Cosmic Divide to try and narrow down the options, but still, very good call for them. Actually, if anything, this is quite a very nice Cosmic Divide.
That's great timing from Muffin to put up that wall as soon as she knew the Cosmic Divide was going on down. Stinger to try and take that back hall's control, but Shirazi, great job to win out in that fight. That smoke cuts off the back hall's angle. They don't have to worry about the up coming in to be effective right now. Here comes out that Viper Spit though. Baby TZ, they know they're off of the spike. They know they're not going for the defuse just yet. And Baby TZ has a huge position here with the stinger. And she stings and bites. So deadly, so painful, so perfect. Alyssa finds the kills. It's all on Alexi in the 1v1. The time is ticking. She has to stick it. But the mere sheriff is all Polly needs to lay down the law. As X10 Sapphire take the bonus, the eco round here over Bren.
Little bit of difficulty here for the side of Bren in towards the retakes here, and you've seen Black and Blue the utilities that were used by the team, and yet the timing on how they really pop it off is something that you have to consider. But of course here Alexi could have done not much in towards that, because again Polly really popping off in towards this map. And did you see her pulls? It was just so enough to really rattle down Bren Victress from earlier.
Her holds were definitely very influential in that, placing herself in these proper spots. And we've been seeing a lot of the backline do that for X10 Sapphire, and they're the real reasons why this team is so formidable. Players like Polly, Ginny, who just are always, almost always at the very least, in that proper spot, in the right position to be able to make some magic happen and come out of it on top. So Bren Victress, they have the op here, holding down B site solely. It's going to be Shirazi all alone. She's been pretty formidable so far with that thing in her hands, but we're going to want to see her come a bit more alive. 50 seconds left on the clock. The orb to allow them to cross safely. This alerts Bren Victress of the presence here of X10 Sapphire.
Pops out the head here for Shirazi in towards that box, denying Baby Easy on towards her team, but still I feel like the commitment from Bren Victress is already going to happen. We can provide for fit as well for retaliation. Again, the off showstopper from Twirly. Let's see where she fires this off. Not gonna spot out the neon, but then Muffin is able to shut her down. That's gonna be the plan. Oh, spot that one, make it that before it can even happen, but that is information already for the side of X10 Sapphires. Now Headhunter here, Muffin already is on her feet, taking down Shirazi from the tower. Now it's all up to 3 more members here, but the survive. Armor hits with the bondage. Muffin takes 3, making it 4. As she cleans it up for the crew. 4 points now. This is looking a bit of a smooth sail for X10 Sapphire.
Sweet round there from Muffin. It was just been such a huge problem over and over here for the Victress side. She has really turned up the pace many times on this Neon. Just consistently catching them off guard as well. Polly, great job to find that one, even though she goes down on the flank watch. And X10 Sapphire, they forced a timeout out of Bren. Once again, to correct myself from a while ago, it was Bren Victress who called both timeouts during map number 1, even though the graphic, the overlay said otherwise. Apologies for that. But yeah, this time, a timeout called by them once again to try and slow the pace down. And picking Pearl, it was a big risk here, for X10 Sapphire, but it seems to be working out so far.
I mean, for the likes of X10 Sapphire, if I'm not mistaken, this is their chosen map pick. So, of course, we are bound to see some amount of gameplays or strategies that they will dish out in towards our table. And for the side of Bren Victress, not sure how much they have exposed themselves in towards this map offline. But then again, they do have to consider that the things that we have been observing from the previous match is also reflecting here, and one of which is basically their follow-ups, and as well as yes, split pushes or split positioning may be okay, but they have to also take note that in terms of the trade-offs, they kind of need themselves here. And now this may be a full-on take for B.
Oh. Whoa! Shirazi still connects on that final shot before dismissing out with a rendezvous. Stuns on out from Muffin. Still, it's an eco from Bren Victress, so they're going to be hard-pressed to try and convert this still, unless they somehow find a pick here to Polly. Even if Polly finds one, if they can make it a 4v3, this is doable. The double swing, is it going to come? Yes, it finally does. Alexi gets that one, but Ginny here is too ready to try and fend him off. 2v2. They can retrieve both rifles. But no, actually, scratch that. Zinni is far removed. She's here closer towards his CT, has to deal with the back hall, Saya.
I mean, of course, they're running out of options with the side of the Victress uses the Viper.
Enemy remaining.
I'll just try and narrow down the option.
Enemy
Then Muffin
remaining.
is already up on her feet, whirly as well for the trade. That's gonna be the wall. 1v1. Tries to audio cue. Does she have time? Who gets to be rattled in towards this timing? Oh, it could be wall bang, but ooh, not enough for Twirly. But Muffin here is really making things work out for the team, and it's also very helpful that she's the Neon right now because she can have that impending speed and contestants of her own. So engaging and disengaging would be basically easy for her.
And you see that wall allowed her to cross too, right? It keeps the defense guessing. It keeps your opponent just unsure of where exactly that Neon could be. She can be anywhere at any given moment. And Bren Victress, still, considering that was an eco, it came down to a 1v1. So that was a good eco, all things considered. Bren Victress, though, they need this round to finally get a stop here. It is a map that has generally kind of swayed itself towards the attacking side, right? The rotate's quite long for the defense, so it makes sense why that will be the case. But this is a lead that Bren Victress, I'm sure, are not going to be too comfortable if it continues on further.
Indeed. Right now, look at all these smokes for both sides of the team trying to spend out their abilities wisely. Polly already ready. Here takes one down, tries to tag him into the spike down. Not enough, and then he takes 3 on to retaliate. The spike is at middle side. Now numbers are in favor. Not anymore, as Baby TV equalizes the board. And now we do see both of them trying to double this area where Zinni is at as player. Take by Razi with the op, takes Ginny down. It's all up to Baby Cheesy to make things work for the crew. Let's see who gets this closer goal. It's actually Baby TZ. Catching one off guard, but make it a 4 for Zinni as she trades it off to get their 3rd point.
There's no way Zinni should have been that close with her headhunter out, but at the very least, Zinni's able to secure the round post-mortem. Ali, as well, has yet to really find herself getting activated in this game so far, although she is a fade, so she will be on that backline a bit more, but they need to start seeing her step on up. If she does, who knows, this could be a tie game on her hands. Big rounds like that from a player like Zinni, player who might not normally be touted to be one of their bigger stars, that can help get the rest of the team going. They rally behind that example and use that to lead their charge.
A little bit of a slow
I'm pissed here,
but it's actually
Face your fear!
Damage here, Polly though, not being closer, takes one down, doing as well. Alexi won that fight, however, with the Bulldog and also patches herself up.
Spike planted.
But the spike is already down towards B side. Shirazi has to make things work here for the op if she wants basically to make this buy worthwhile. Or actually, she picked this up from the previous round, but then again, she has to make this work for the force already. Baby TV, we've been mentioning how Baby TV is very much a threat whenever she does bring this out. So a little bit of timing is all that matters for Victress at the moment. Oh, down, and as I say it, make it a double for Baby TZ toward the force. It's as if she has basically synergy within this agent. Alyssa also takes Zinni down. Not even letting things pass by. X10 Sapphire is literally running this through.
Yeah, that tour de force is huge here, and Polly as well. Even though she doesn't get the kill there in the end, she finds this one and then continues to hover around this mid position, which keeps Alexi just having to check over her shoulder over and over there from D-Link, and it delayed the retake so long because that meant Alexi had to go rotate the long route, and as well as when she was ready to help them on the retake, she had to make sure that she was always checking their flanks, or someone was always looking at that flank, that mid door, because Polly could come through it at any time. So even positioning yourself like that, that is huge. And this is another big kill, another big round looking for more so here for X10 Sapphire. Bren, Victress, their ecos just haven't been able to really give us some magic the way we know.
See that tap from the Phantom of that Muffin used? And there was a wall. This. You know what? You googled it correctly, because in the moment you did that, Muffin has just been basically proving a point at this rate. But right now, again, stakes are high for the Victress. Tries to deny any because of the beautiful positioning that X10 Sapphire have here. There's not much for Bren and Victress to do earlier. Could this be another 9-3 back and forth?
It's looking to be the case here, as X10 Sapphire, they're running away with this. And once again, we saw Bren start off really strong early in the map, same way they did on Bind, but it just continued X10's way after that, after the first few skirmishes. They call out time on out here, try and, you know, continue the pace. Even though they've been winning, they want to make sure that they continue winning and don't let this lead get cut down to a 7-5, because 7-5 going over to that attacking side for the second half, that's a definitely winnable scoreline for Bren Victress, and that's a possibility. X10, they want to avoid that, considering they could be playing another series here today.
I agree with you, and of course, as well as with the usage of timeout, simply because you have to take note, they are still not in the best of conditions, so they may want to really tone it down for themselves as well, because they may tend to overheat. So, especially because the winning streak is on their side as well, so they might want to tone it down and try to recondition themselves, just so that they could try and close off this first half. For Bren, however, they really need to think of ways to try and shut down the members, especially for the likes of Polly and Muffin, and Ginny as well, who's been doing very much so for the team, especially with their utility usage. So right now, this is already the start of our 11th round here, Black and Blue, and as I mentioned, with them trying to find ways to shut it down, apparently, because X10 Sapphires don't really have that major, aggressive approach, the mystery again of where they're supposed to be.
That question, where these players are playing, that's one quickly answered here as Baby TZ finds Twirly, sent those prowlers out to gather information, then confirm the kill afterwards. Look at Ali playing up here, up front.
Teleport ready.
It's not really gonna pay them much great grace in the end. There is a Viper's Pit popped here on the B site, but now that X10 Sapphire have B-Link control, they can go completely around this and circumvent any problems it might propose. They can pincer here Zinni within that, so Zinni has a big job. Here comes the rest. The rest of the defense is going to be quite late, and Zinni goes down just out of the blue. A shot by Baby TZ connects and somehow finds her. That is disastrous for Bren Victress.
The anticipation game of Baby TZ is too strong. Despite having a wall coming in from the Viper as well, it doesn't really falter her so long as she knows the initial position. She knows where to take aim. Polly, however, will take one, but Ali goes for the shutdown. That's going to be the showstopper. Or will she spot out one? No. Alyssa takes a little bit of her health, but then there's the trade that's going to happen through 1 versus 2 this time around. Alyssa takes one. All Alyssa has to do is wait for things to happen. A little bit of a jiggle once again for Ginny, was able to take down Alexi as well. 8-3 right now, Black and Blue.
Bren Victress, you talked about them ending Bind 9-3 in that first half, and if that could be replicated here, it's looking ever more so true. Say a final round for them to win or give. They have us 2 Spectres to utilize here, not an ultimate in sight. Ginny there with that Viper's Pit to secure a post-plant position if it ever does come. This is looking pretty dangerous so far for Victress. There is a lower bracket, yes, but it's not the way they want to start this tournament on out, as X10 Sapphire have been just rosed red many times over in this game, in this series, just absolutely furious with intent of winning.
that is basically the objective of everyone right now. But so far, X and Sapphire, again, because this is their chosen map, and I'm pretty sure they really double or triple prepared for this to try and, you know, really make things work. I do remember from the previous before that memory lane, you know, Ali is able to take up and down, so they don't really have that agile entry anymore. Then he goes for the and Ali takes one. Alyssa will be refragging for fallen teammate as well, and a good call for a rotate to say that additionally. But I feel like Alexi heard those footsteps before they separated ways, and that's the reason why she's already in towards the side, calling her friend as well.
Your fear!
Nightfall as well for the fade. Alexi was able to take it down by her
Spike down.
Roz for a trade of her own. This is going to be one that was whirling with the pre-aim, was able to secure it. Not going to be a 9-3 here, black and blue.
Switching
Great
sides.
response finally from Bren Victress. And now, while no economy will transfer over, obviously, from that first half to the second, it's momentum they can continue to bring forward here. They get the 8-4, so already a better half than their opening bind map was, but we're going to see what the panel thinks about this game, and so far how it's gone when we transfer over to them. Panel, how you guys doing?
What a very dominating start there for Pearl from X10 Sapphire. As projected and as we knew, the way they play attack is very, very aggressive and takes up so much space. But what do you think, Sleepy?
Yeah, I think there's one thing that we have to point out is that the spread in position for X10 Sapphire has been phenomenal. Most of the times you'll see 3 players going forward and taking control towards B, which I might be wrong, but I think B is the favorite side for X10 Sapphire. They've always almost gone B all the time. But the point is, every time there's 3 players taking the side, there's always Ginny and Polly watching the flank. And every time, there's always that moment where the flank watcher will get a kill and then get traded. But then that information is relayed towards the forward-moving players, and they have enough time to respond to that information, so they can just reposition, get into a crossfire, and then eventually lock down the side. So I think the way that X10 Sapphire approached this first half was so structured. They have a system in place that worked so well that it was really, really hard for Bren to break that, even though they were going for initiatives like pushing all the way from A and B at the same time, and it's almost always detected and read by X10S. So I think X10 Sapphire, they really just knows how to control the pace of this game against Bren.
Yeah, when you talk about controlling pace and all that, I think what's really important to note is how proactive they are in terms of taking up space. Yes, especially in the first round, we see Bren actually taking up B long, and they were actually rewarded for it. But as you mentioned, that information relay coming in toward X10S does not deter them from taking that particular site. What they do is just say, okay, B long is not available, let's go to mid as well. And I have to say, their mid control throughout the entire game has been phenomenal. What's great about that mid control is it allows them that early access, that earlier fast access onto both sides, to the point that they can actually kind of identify, like, okay, there's 3 on this side, run toward A side. They just get the site, and once the post plant comes through, it's almost impossible to come onto their defenses.
Really
Given the fact that they have Ginny on the Viper, I think what's really important is the fact that how they position those walls, how they use their Viper's pits has been absolutely ratty. So coming on to defense side, the question now is, can Bren Victress come back? So I'm going to pass it over to Nico as well as Zia Aura.
Thank you so much for that, Tash, and of course, Sleepy. And I hope you guys are doing well in there as well into our panel. But of course, welcome back here in towards the action. On towards our second half, we are casters. My name's Saya, and with me is a black and a blue. So now we are really bringing it into a close potential match point for this match game for the side of X10 Sapphire if they are able to win this in a very, smooth sailing. But what do you have to say about this?
This pistol, absolutely crucial for Bren Victress to win here, Ciara. If this is taken by X10, we're going to see, I think, pretty similar results to how Bind went. So, they have to take this round. That Sage barrier is going to be a big difference that X10 Sapphire didn't have on their attack, but they didn't seem to mind. Backhaul is taken by them. Prowler right on time, forces him on back. The plant does go down, but the post plant's a different question here.
As you say, question, but Baby TZ still, despite having losing ground, was able to right-click Whirly down, and as well as the other two members, also takes kills of their own. That's gonna be the smoke once again, and of course that's gonna be the diffusing, and
Player standing.
so draws with a trade, but not too. It's too late for their side, and this is a 9-4. And you did mention this again, Black and Blue. The pistol was crucial for Bren, and we are expected for X10 Sapphires to win the second round once again because they do have the money for that weaponry.
This is a common problem I see a lot of teams, even at the highest levels of Valorant play, end up falling to, wherein they plant for what is normally a back site in B-Hall's plant on that what people think is now default, and it isn't planted for long, but then the post plant diverts to long, and a lot of times, yes, because the defense forces him back that far, but it's still a very undesirable position to be in. I rarely see a team win a post plant like that when it's not planted for them, especially on towards a tower for long. Alyssa, the rest here of X10, yeah, this is quick work. Nothing really special to talk about in this round, but just small problems here, making me wonder if how well versed maybe Bren Victress are on the map of Pearl in general, because we have yet to really see either team play this, but it's looking at like X10 Sapphire. They're the ones ready as they secure another round.
I mean, choosing a map that we haven't seen just yet, since it's of course fairly new, of course you're bound to really triple your preparations for this, and I feel like it's really bearing fruit for the side of X10 Sapphires. For Bren, I feel like they do practice in this map. It just so happens that in terms of, you know, exposure to it, I feel like X10 Sapphire does have the upper hand. So for the side of Victress here, I think they just have to focus on the now and try to identify a certain pattern. But because of them being taken down by... Oh, that was actually pretty smart. Baby team takes one, not going to be another, but does rendezvous out to safety. But then what I was saying earlier is that I feel like because they're being taken down like this, and that's better. That's going to be a wall which is really destroyed. That's going to be one. Because of that one-way smoke, but then again, Holly does the trade. That's gonna be a spray down. That's one, not gonna be another. As Ali takes towards this one as well, making a double
They're both
for
low.
her. And let's see how this goes. That's gonna be a prowler. But Jenny still gets one with a stinger and makes it a double. How?
Oh my goodness.
It's
Disastrous Saya for Bren
Very.
Victress. That was their gun round, and they lose it. Huge pick off by Baby TZ with a mere Marshall to get that opening kill, right? And then
Indeed.
few low HP players in the end by Ginny with a mere stinger. That's more than enough. It's actually one of the best weapons you'd want against a low HP player because it simply spits out bullets, and as long as a single one hits, then you pretty much have yourself a kill. And she had two there lined up, prepared, served on a silver platter for her to take. And it was just way too easy at that point there for Polly to secure that round. Incredible, rather for Ginny to secure that round. Incredible sequence we're seeing here from X10 Sapphire. And that very well could have been the nail in the coffin here for Bren.
a good call for timeout for the Victress as well. And did you see how how Ginny prioritizes who to spray first with that stinger? Very much so. The way that she isolated that fight in a was very beautiful, and a smooth transition as well, because you did say it's already served for her because two of them are low on HP. Could have been a different story if it was a double peak, but still Colat could have happened either way. So Ginny here, again, I've been emphasizing this from earlier and I'm gonna say it again, her clutch plays are divine.
She has really been such a miraculous force for X10, who just brings out miracle after miracle, just stunt after stunt, really turning things around. And in these clutch situations, she comes big. That's what Bren Victress, we haven't seen them really been able to do that, just do the unthinkable when it comes to it, not as nearly as often as X10 Sapphire have, at least so far in this matchup. So X10 Sapphire in a pretty good spot to potentially end this series 2-0. And Bren Victress, they're on eco, so this is kind of like a half buy for them. They lose this round, obviously it's going to go to match point. Then they're going to have to crawl 8 rounds straight back, perfectly, flawlessly, just to bring this in overtime.
Again, we've seen this similar scoreline from earlier, and it is a huge wall to climb, as you say it. For the side of Bren Victress here, I feel like spending the utilities isn't enough. They basically have to win their duels if they want to make things work. But before Alexi could even go for the trade, 2 were already taken down for their team. And 4 versus 3 still in the hands of X10 Sapphire into the man advantage here. The spike has been planted, however, but it leaves them down to 2. This is a bit tricky right now for their ends, because again, they had to basically save here if they do want to have rifles in the potential match point. That's gonna be an agile muffin going in, but Ali cuts her down, but a bit of a whiff there, and yet still Alyssa rather still gets the job done. And of course, you mentioned this from earlier, and it's happening again. The way that they plant in towards backside, sure, there could be a little bit of a safe haven, but when it comes to post plant positions, it's not gonna be favorable if your enemy team exactly goes to the backside.
It makes it so much more difficult whenever they get put in that case, but we saw some hope there for Bren's Victress's. Alexi finds that opening shot, but yeah, post plant way too difficult, trapped between a rock and a hard place. Bren Victress, potentially the final round we're gonna see in this series from them, but I gotta believe they're gonna give us at least a few more rounds to come back into this, because these two teams, they're the 2 current queens who are looking to overthrow the current crown bearer of the APAC scene in that alter ego Celeste squad. And Bren Victress, they want to give us a bit more. They want to show their grit and their grind, what they've been able to achieve with that. X10 Sapphire, the team that looks just so much more on point right now. Let's see if Bren Victress can deal with this Viper's Pit. It's going to be difficult considering there's, 2 defenders around it as well to help out at the very least. That's going to be Muffin and Alyssa. So lots of support here for this A-side hold.
I was about to say, if they make this work, this could be the pacemaker for them, and they basically did two down for this team, but as mentioned here, Ginny still takes one down on the process from the behind volley. Takes one as well, but not enough to take another, as Ali and the gang was able to secure it. That's going to be a spike plant down, this time very default, but Baby TZ still takes Shirazi from main, and Alexi aware of this thought. Let's see how this 2v1 situation goes down, because Ginny isn't the only one who can have that clutch plays. It's also Baby TZ, especially when her positioning is in good timing. But let's see though. Did she see the corner? Yes, she did! With a headhunter, takes out the Vandal here. May go for some audio using her there. Use the hunt to get the location. Oh, indeed. No, she's gonna push through. She's gonna go in through it and not being able to take it down. Actually, yes! With a close call, Bren Victress still alive here, black and blue.
You know, if she stuck that, she might have actually come away with the defuse. Just barely, but still. At the very least, Ali comes in big. Quality over quantity there for her. Polly, a bit of an overheat here, but still, Baby TZ, so dangerous, so deadly. It brings it down to the 1v1. Luckily here, for Bren Victress, they hold on to live and fight another day. So, that is 7 rounds now, 1 round away, 7 more just to come back in overtime, which is still something we're gonna have to see if they can make and really achieve.
Which they have to, because if Bren Victress are hanging by a thread at this point. say, there is no more room for mistakes. Showstopper taking a bit of its time, not going to connect to anyone. Ali, however, was able to take Muffin down, so this could be a little bit of a safety net for them unless they make things, not go into their favor. But so far, retake and post-plan situation is going to happen. 4 versus 5. Ali quite dinks and low on HP. Tries to spray in towards the Vipers to see if anyone can go down here. And Alexi from the side takes one down. Alyssa for the trade. Zinni and Ali work together for that crossfire. Will they make it though? It's only up to Zinni, but I feel like he's just gonna go and save this Phantom just so that they can have more, weapon down once the next match happens.
It's a good hold here. Coming from Bren Victress into post plant. They secure a round. Give us another. That's 6 rounds now they have to crawl back into. As we said, it's not out of the question, not the highest probability, but that changes with every round taken here by Bren Victress. They're going to give us a few more, I believe, before they go down, as I said, but X10 Sapphire, they're going to be forced on Eco, I think, right after this.
I mean, to be fair, they do have the luxury to eco out and, get some rounds in the hands of Bren Victress here because of the score gap. But then again, they have worked tremendous performances despite having, a thrifty buy. So it still depends on how things are going to go. And I feel like this is the perfect time for the Victress to really take advantage of it. But, as I say, it probably takes one only to be traded out by Shirazi and Ali. And this could be the feat that we've been looking for, Black and Blue, for the side of Victress.
You've been looking for feet?
I mean, no.
Hachi,
Feet as in
Saya
feature.
exposed here on the stream.
No, as in feature.
Muffin gets a big pick. Explain it to the court. Not here. 3v3 right now. Shirazi up close and personal. Alyssa, she does have that stinger. If she can take backside control, that's going to be huge. Shirazi holds down the line. Too early to find that pick. She knows where she is. Trapped between a rock and a hard place. 1v2 right now. Muffin has the benefit of the doubt, but the long post plant, this is where it does benefit though. From this long angle, Zinni on the swing, quick trade, and Bren Victress bring it down to 5. That is a post plant that you need to be able to have a position like that. You have to plant it there for long on that tower towards the back hall, so you actually have an advantage when falling back further down B long. So great job here on the recuperation that Bren Victress have suddenly recovered into.
I mean, we all know that one friend who likes that, and that's definitely not me. But of course, it's a good call for a timeout for the side of X10 Sapphires, as in feature, okay? Feature. All right?
We believe you, don't worry.
Oh, please. But right now, going back in towards this one, this is actually a good call as well for X10 Sapphires to go for a timeout. I mean, we mentioned this earlier, Black and Blue, that sometimes overheating not really good, especially when you do have consecutive wins. Sometimes you have to take the chill pill, and I feel like this timeout could really work out for them. But this time as well, it gives an amount of time for Bren Victress to reassess everything that they've been doing, because technically when the rounds are being given to them, it also gives them an opportunity to potentially bounce back.
And having that spring to just bounce back off the board into the hoop, that is important for a team like Bren Victress to have, especially after, the decisive loss from map number 1. They need to get that win under their wings once more. But the operator here from Baby TZ hasn't seen it. We haven't seen it be big as of late, but that could change here right now. He's marking down the right path. Bren Victress, they go towards B. They pull the defense here towards mid, and now there's not a single soul in sight for this B site. It's ripe for the taking. They should have another great post-plant position. Are they going to plant for default? I think they will, but it's fine because they have backside hall control. They have to make sure they don't give up this back hall control, because trying to contest here versus an operator on B long, if they ever get forced back, is going to be disastrous. So right now, Victress, they can get this round, but they need this back hall's control, as I said.
They need to secure it as well, Black and Blue. But look at this, Swirly with a Very, very nice kill as well. Didn't out of front.
One
Ooh,
enemy
that's it again.
Wow.
From Bren, Victress is going slowly but surely. And Black and Blue, I think you'll agree with me when I say X10 Sapphire is kind of toned down a bit for the past few rounds.
Well, they've been toned down, yes, but that is due to many of the attempts here of Bren Victress and Twirly coming alive. That's what we need to see, Twirly. Give him a spin. Give him a different look. Be the whirlwind that we know you can be. And Twirly, that she does. They're finally in the round. They plant for the proper post-plant setup that they're kind of going for in the first place, and that pays dividends. It gives them so much more. They reap what they've sown in the post-plant because of that good fortune they established early on. So now Bren Victress, mid positions, trying to be controlled. Noise made, yes, but that doesn't really pull the intent and attention away that X10 have. Is still ready to try and fight against this. Maybe TZ, she can play this solely because she can back off if it ever does come to it.
Definitely, but right now I do like this for the side of Victress. They're slowly solidifying their presence, and not just that, their duels are slowly being won. Look at this beautiful response from Alexi to try and cover for her teammate, who's very much in a pinch because she was concussed. But then again, they are able to secure A side this time around. Now a good opportunity for Twirly to reposition herself into the back lines, because that's where the usual port of entry is. See, Twirly takes the 3 and Polly shut down, but that's a 4K now for Twirly. As expected, she is starting to be the Twirly that we are seeing here, especially when she does get a hold of a raise.
Twirly, she is heating up, and when she does really, well, spice things up and start to go into overdrive, that can be such a big problem to be at the other end of here. And X10 Sapphire, they're realizing just how quickly the tide has turned, and it's starting to go in Bren Victress' way. They have momentum. Operator out for Baby TC, who has mostly been quiet this entire map so far. But will that continue on long? It doesn't actually connect.
We'll see how this is going to push through, because technically the kind of X10 Sapphire, rather, they do have only one more round, and Ollie is trying to make the trigger for the team, but Alexi cuts her down. That's going to be the res, potentially for baiting things out, but decides not to this time. Prowler not going to be Alexi, but Elisa still shuts her down regardless. No revival whatsoever. Going to use some of her agile prowess here to try and tip the scale. They are quite long, and the spike hasn't been planted yet, so a rotate could be possible here unless they kind of fake it because of some amount of time in their absence towards B after everything. But because they do kind of sense it, we see already the likes of Ginny rotating slowly towards B. They do have 30 seconds to spare, but I have to take note, it's a do or die kind of thing for Bren Victress here, because they can't afford any more losses.
That's definitely true. Oh, does Alyssa even know? Did she hear it? But now they do. Prowler comes on in without much time. This is so deadly, so dire for Bren Victress to commit towards that B site for the re-hit. They should have went towards A. Holding down the line though, Ali, absolutely huge kill. Has a C's to play here with. Spam on through, but Alyssa doesn't even need a sight line. She gets a kill, the round, the map, and the series here for X10 Sapphire as they secure it 2-0. What an ending when Bren Victress were slowly starting to come back, and they were within the cusp of making that comeback come true.
Definitely X10 Sapphires, despite the sickness, despite the odds, they were still able to dominate against our Victress. But don't worry for the Victress out there, you still have your +1 life in towards our lower brackets. But that was closer of a fight in comparison with our first match of the other game. And again, it was very amazing. Twirly, I feel like it was a bit too late for her to pop off. But you know what, Black and Blue, as much as, you know, what are your quick thoughts about the game?
Well, I mean, at the very least, Twirly was able to get a lot more heated, right, in the end of that, and that's what we need to see for Bren Victress if they want to come back from their lower bracket run into that, because they have one more opportunity here, and she really was able to step up on this map on Pearl. So I'm hoping there, for Twirly, since she's really filling in new roles, she will be able to get herself going in their lower bracket, because it's X10 Sapphire who look ever more so on point. We also saw some struggles there from the initiating side of the Victresses, but we're gonna see if that will continue on too long. Alexi being that voice of reason, well, we're gonna see a lot of reasons here being made by our hosts and by our panel. I am Black and Blue, with me is Sayora. We're done for today. We're gonna bring it to our hosts. So what you guys think?
A 2-0, that is what we saw from X10 Sapphire on Pearl. A great start for them, and again, a bit of a scary moment as they struggle to close the match. Tash, Buddy, and Sleepy here, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I love the creativity that Bren Victress brought into this map. With the walls. If you see the walls and B, with the setup for the plants towards default, with the setup towards under heaven as well. But it seems like X10, they just understand this map so well. They're prepared so well for this map in terms of their utility usage and their map understanding. They were able to deal with any surprises that Bren Esports brought to the table, and therefore they were able to deal with almost anything until Bren Esports started hitting crazy shots. We've seen some insane, ridiculous shots coming out of Twirly, of course, towards the later part of that second half. And unfortunately, even that is not enough, because even though Bren Esports started making things work for themselves, even a post plan at B side still worked out for them. It was not enough because, again, they were just left behind too far.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up just now.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, a bit of a lead there from X10S, and I think one thing about X10S is that I think from earlier till now, they struggle a bit when it comes to closing games after a very phenomenal start.
Yeah.
But in a lot of situations, comebacks can happen against them, because if you remember how it works is that maybe they already had that lead, and it gives them a lot of room for error.
Yep.
But when you're in a situation where you're already at 11, it's very, very hard for you to make a lot of errors, and one single error is what closed the game here, I believe. But looking at the stats here, Polly and Alexi will be our head-to-head. It's going to be the battle of the Controller and Sentinel, as you see, at 24-17 and 19-19 here for Bren Victress. So in your opinion, is it X10's utility usage that gave them such control of the map?
I think so, especially with the double controller setup that they brought in. I think the Astra has been phenomenal. We've seen some of the cosmic device that Poli used. It just broke Bren Victress apart, and it's a testament to how much this agent is actually pretty effective on Pearl. And I'm glad that X10 has showed us a glimpse of that in combination with the Viper as well. So you have that sort of control with the smokes. It also gives you a lot of power in terms of post plans or in defensive power as well. So I think this is something that we need to see more from teams like X10, Bren Esports, and maybe even Alter Ego later on. We need to see more of these experimentations and tryouts with these different agents and utilities. And I'm glad to be able to witness it firsthand, Tash, because this shows that the level of understanding for the game from these teams are increasing at a rapid rate. And this is just day one of the FSL Elite, so I can't wait to see even more from them in the next few days.
Yeah, X10S has been, I think what makes it so good for them is that it really suits their playstyle as well. We've seen a very aggressive X10, and it looks really, really good for them on this map. Regardless, let's have a chat with one of the members
Let's go.
That is going to the lower bracket. It's going to be Bren Victress. Let's see who it is. We have Zini on the line. Zini.
Hello.
All right. So
Hello.
I understand that it's been a very long day for you, as we just finished a match, a 2-map for you against X10S. So my question for you is right now, how is the team feeling, and what are your plans, or at least not plans, but an idea of what it is, what it looks like as you plan to go through the lower bracket?
Of course, we're feeling a bit sad, but I guess everyone was just not like ourselves. Like, we're not playing our play, and it's not really us versus X10. It's us versus ourselves, because we weren't really playing what we practice, and I think the main feeling we're feeling right now is frustration because we couldn't pull out what we have in our sleeves.
Right, but even though you say that, I think we saw a glimpse of your true selves, right? In the last
Yeah.
few rounds, towards the second half, you were like so on fire, so confident. Hey, thank you for the
Yeah.
heart. So, what was going on in that moment? You know, like you were actually playing so
Um,
well. I'm guessing
I
the
think
morale was good.
we
right?
just really woke up a bit late. Like, we get into our game like that moment. It's just it was too late for us to like really come back because it was too the gap between our scores are too big, and like we did our best, but it's just a bit of chance. Like, we don't have much chance to come back.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So I have another question. Were you expecting a Pearl to be picked up for this against X10S?
Um, Actually, yeah, cause Pearl is like a new map that everyone can excel. So like, it's you just surprise everyone with whatever you have. So I think it's one of the most picked maps uh in the future, cause it's such a complex map. It's like the B side is very big, like wide open, and then A side is so small. Like, you can do
Yeah.
whatever in this map. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were expecting it already then? You were already practicing it?
Yeah, we really practiced this in scrims already the moment it came
Wow.
out.
Wow, I'm really excited for you guys. But thank you so much, Dini, and I'm really
Thank you.
looking forward to you guys in your battle
Thank you
through
so much, Hasan.
through lower brackets. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
I love the
Aw,
hearts they're
they're
giving us.
so cute.
So cute. Even though they just lost, they were still, playing around, just having a good time. So I'm glad that's the mentality they're bringing into this, Tash. So hopefully we can see them fight it out from the lower brackets. Good luck, Bren.
Yeah. So after this, we're gonna go see. What are we seeing after this? I think we're
We have
seeing-
matches. We have
Yeah, we do have matches. But I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out like which teams we're seeing first because
Okay.
we do have the substream as well going on where we have two
Correct.
matches today and it's been two here. So what's really exciting is you're going to be seeing two from the upper brackets and two from the lower brackets come through to see who goes up next and who doesn't. So in your opinion today,
Yeah.
what did today kind of go to your expectations?
Well, speaking of the first match, which was Orangutan versus Zolmaraki, I think it was quite lined up with expectations. I thought that Orangutan was the better team going into the matchup, and they delivered quite nicely. In terms of Bren versus X10, it was a bit of a toss-up between these two, right? So Bren and X10, I think it went a little sideways, but I'm pretty... Well, it was expected that X10 was able to pull up that performance.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that input. Because for now, we're gonna have a quick break before we move forward for more Valorant at Valorant Game Changers APAC Elite. Tash Bunny and Sleepy here. We'll see you right back.
Bye.